Let's get the views of Sacha Lord, who is a former Labour Party donor, and Andy Burnham's former nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester. Hello, Sacha.
Good afternoon, Mark.
What do you make about this psychodrama within the Labour Party at the moment?
Do you know what? This whole digital ID thing today, I'm convinced this is just a dead cat that they've thrown in. I mean, everybody up until that announcement were talking about £740,000 of undeclared donations. Keir's head of comms resigning just before conference, and his weak leadership. You know, is there going to be a leadership battle? All of a sudden, that's off the table now, and everybody's talking about digital ID. I mean, the idea to me personally is really bizarre, Mark. I've got a national insurance card, I've got my passport, I've got my credit cards, my driving licence, my bank accounts, utility bills. What's this needed for? And as an employee, as an employer, I won't be expecting to ask people for digital ID. I just think it's nonsense.
Indeed, and you were a very vocal critic of some of the authoritarian measures we saw during the pandemic. And you just wonder whether digital ID feels like essentially a natural extension of what we saw during COVID.
It does. You know, it doesn't feel right to me. And you're right. I was the person that took Matt Hancock to court to get rid of the 10 p.m. curfew, and
which made no sense.
None whatsoever. And the Scotch egg rule, the ridiculous Scotch egg rule. I mean, the whole thing, when you look back now, what we were doing for 18 months, I have no idea. But, you know, here we are again with something that to me just doesn't make sense. You know, I am not a fan of this Brit card or whatever they want to call it.
No, and it does look to be politically motivated, particularly the timing. You were understandably very unhappy with the performance of the last Conservative government, and I would say the majority of my viewers and listeners would agree with you on that, Sacha. However, you were very enthusiastic about the idea of a Labour government. I think you attended the manifesto launch. Do you now have buyer's regret?
I do, as it stands, actually. I am a Labour Party member. I was a Labour Party donor, and that was on the back, Mark, of me having many conversations with who were the shadow cabinet at the time. Right at the top, I met Sir Keir, I met Rachel Reeves, and my industry is hospitality. We're the 5th biggest industry in the whole of the UK, the 3rd largest employer. And it's very apparent to me now, they were telling me things that they thought I wanted to hear, and they haven't followed through with anything. I mean, Rachel Reeves increasing national insurance for my sector was the final nail in the coffin. We're losing now a pub a day. And because we're being taxed so heavily, the profit now, Mark, on an average pint is £6.50 or £8 I'm hearing in London now. The profit is 12p. I mean, it is untenable. It's ridiculous.
People don't realise that's how little the landlord or landlady gets. I think one of the more egregious aspects of the Nix tax raid, Sacha, as well, is that hospitality employs a lot of young people. So that is a lot of school leavers who now won't be able to get a job in the local restaurant or the local pub because the employers can't afford it.
You're absolutely right. Since Rachel Reeves' last budget, hospitality has lost 110,000 jobs, more than any other sector. And I was at the Labour Party conference 2 years ago, and I can tell you, everybody felt you're on a wave. You know, it was like something new. There was a knight in shining armour about to arrive on the back of the disastrous 14 years of the previous government. And what a flop. What an absolute flop it's been. And I put a tweet out on Tuesday saying how annoyed I was with the party, and I'm not going to the conference, and what's the point of it? And the amount of Labour Party members, and especially Labour Party councillors, who are undoubtedly going to lose their jobs at the local elections come May the 6th, they reached out to me and said, you know, thanks for being the voice of reason, for saying what we want to say, but we just can't do.
Is this a problem of policy or leadership, Sacha?
I put this down to leadership, and whoever is advising the leader as well. I mean, the biggest thing they came out with when they first created this government was, we're going to freeze the pensioners. And I fell off my seat. You know, that is not the Labour Party that I grew up as a kid to understand. It really isn't. So, you know, they've made so many poor, disastrous policy decisions, and they are admitting now that they've got things wrong in the last 12 months. You know, it's time to move on.
Can they, defend the challenging 14 months they've had, given the economic circumstances which are not of their making?
Well, when the Labour Party came in, they said that the black hole was 22 billion. We're now at 50 billion, apparently. And I've got to be honest, Mark, I am so fearful for my sector. And the next budget that's due, I think it's the 26th of November, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I'm really, really concerned what's coming down the line there.
If there's an issue around the leadership, is a change at the top the answer? Could it be that your former colleague and friend Andy Burnham could rescue the fortunes of this government?
Well, I've been asked this question a lot this week, and obviously I can't speak on behalf of Andy Burnham, but what I can say is this. Look, you will have met many politicians, Mark, over the years, more than I will have met. And a lot of them, let's be honest, are different people once they're off the camera. Yeah. Andy Burnham I worked with for 7 years, and he's exactly the same person behind the camera than he is on the camera. He really, really cares for the people of Greater Manchester. What he has done, he's transformed this city region, taking transport back under public control. He's done some incredible things. So he is a leader, and we called him during the COVID period King of the North, when he stood up for us when we were thrown into Tier 3 for longer than any other region. And he defended the city region, and the country needs leadership like that.
That sounds like an endorsement to me.
Well, there are many hurdles to get through, but obviously Andy Burnham's not an MP at the moment, Mark, as you know, so he'd have to step down from his role as Mayor for Greater Manchester, and he'd have to run as an MP. So there's a long way to go.
OK, well, listen, breaking news, you heard it here first. Former Labour Party donor and supporter Sacha Lord, warm on the idea of Sir Keir Starmer being replaced by Andy Burnham, but as he said, he'd have to find a seat, he'd have to win that, which might be a challenge for this incumbent government. Sacha, let's take a listen to the Prime Minister talking about his wider hopes for the country.
There's a battle for the soul of this country now as to what sort of country do we want to be, because that toxic divide, that decline with reform, it's built on a sense of grievance politics, identifying something real for sure, but relying on the problem existing in order for their politics to persist.
We know, Sacha Lord, don't we, that the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, is an ambitious man and he's a ruthless man. Can he adapt to the current political circumstances? Can he turn this ship around?
I don't think so. And you say ruthless, Mark. Well, one of my biggest idols actually was Alex Ferguson. I'm sorry to go into football on this, but
do it. Knock yourself out. He's a hero.
He's an absolute hero. But I can tell you, Fergie would walk into the training ground and he knew the name of absolutely everybody in there. The dinner ladies, the cleaners. Yes. He'd spend time with them. I know, because I've been told by two separate people, that when Sir Keir sacked people a couple of weeks ago, he didn't even have the leadership to phone them up himself. He got other people to do it. I think that's weak leadership. I really do. And just then you play that video. I mean, he doesn't really, he's so cardboard, isn't he? He just doesn't really speak for the people. I just cannot warm to him, and I thought I would do.
And before I let you go, Sacha, what do you make of Nigel Farage and the Reform UK project? Of course, you are based in Greater Manchester, and just north of that region is the Red Wall, which looks like it's going to go turquoise in 3 or 4 years' time.
Well, I think a lot quicker than that, to be honest, Mark. I think the 6th of May, we're going to see Reform take a lot of seats across the whole of the UK, not just Greater Manchester, not just the north. I think, we've seen that in the polls today. If there's to be a general election, who would become Prime Minister. I'm happy to work with everybody. I am a Labour Party member and I still want to work with the Labour Party. But I was invited to speak at the Lib Dems conference. I'm speaking at the Tory conference next week. I will work with anybody who looks after, represents and gives a voice at the table for hospitality.
More power to you. Sacha, I really enjoyed our conversation today. Sacha Lord is a former Labour Party donor and Andy Burnham's former nighttime economy advisor for Greater Manchester